where to start?
So, Jordan and I, okay, so it's been how many weeks since Endgame?
A while, like 3, 2,
Right, so
3.
it's been almost a month since Endgame, the event that is Endgame.
Yes.
Man, will it catch Avatar?
Oh, I think it'll easily catch Avatar.
Easily.
Easily, yeah.
And the reason for that, I think, the reason why you think that is because so many people have like gone twice to see it.
Oh,
if not 3 times.
3 times, 4. I mean, and that's the thing is I've been actually talking to certain people who aren't even really Marvel fans who have gone to see it because they've just heard of what kind of a spectacle it is.
Yeah.
And even they're coming away and saying, you know what, I really liked it for a single movie that, you know. So that's
Also, and what this movie does, which I heard before the movie started, what this movie does is make you love the previous ones more, right? So even someone who's checking out just Endgame might have questions, and so while the movie's in theaters still, they'll go back and check out the other ones, so they'll come back. So they can come back and see Endgame again and get like a more full experience.
yeah. It ties everything in, right? There's definite Easter eggs throughout this movie that go back to every single movie beforehand, right? So if you have questions now, you can go back, watch those movies, understand those things, and then come back to it and go, oh, okay, I understand that now. So,
yeah. And what really gets me is that, like, if you're not a Marvel fan and you would say something like that to a non-Marvel fan, they'll be like, it's just a movie, you know? Why do you have to go back to all those callbacks? Like, what is it? Really, I honestly can't even explain it.
Yeah.
But there's something that has to be said about when it calls back to different movies so perfectly.
I don't think you have to see the previous movies.
Not all of them.
I don't think you have to. I think it helps in the experience and to really appreciate all of the things that they included in Endgame. But I don't think it's absolutely necessary. But I appreciate that I have been a fan and I have been following along for all of the movies. So
it's almost like a reward.
Exactly. So all of these little things that either have been said or been done in other movies are almost paid off in this one. And so that's where I kind of get giddy thinking about is all of these things that, hey, could have maybe been happening or could have happened in these movies but didn't, or things were alluded to in past movies and now it's happening and we've been waiting for, you know, the better part of 11 years and now all of a sudden, okay, all of these things have happened. So like I said, I don't think people absolutely have to.
No.
But I think that you're going to get a better, well-rounded experience if you've seen, at least, I think, kind of the major movies. So I think if you've seen, like, the Iron Mans and the Captain Americas...
You have to see both those trilogies.
Then I think you'll appreciate it a little bit more.
Actually, I was running into that problem with my dad because my dad actually got me into comics. And I just thought of my dad when watching Endgame because... he's responsible for me knowing and any of the background of this stuff. So I called him up and I said, Dad, you have to see Endgame. And I'm like, and he's like, oh, okay. Like, and my dad doesn't waste his time with bad movies. And that's the problem because my dad has a certain expectation in his movies. What he considers to be good movies, you're talking about epics, like Gladiator. Like, what's that really old? Lawrence of Arabia. I've never even seen Lawrence of Arabia, but I know it's probably a really good movie.
If he's seen it, yeah. Right?
If he's seen it. Yeah. So now my challenge is, Dad, you have to see all these movies. But all 22 movies aren't great.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And my dad has a problem with that. So now I have to pick and choose different movies in the MCU that he's, one, that has enough in them to get the payoff for Endgame, and two, they're not bad movies to him.
Yeah,
right?
But at the same time too, I think maybe just explaining why you chose the movies that you did because of the payoff that they have later on. And I think, like, if you were to look at a movie, say, like Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't think that you need to see Guardians of the Galaxy to understand or to really appreciate what's going on in Endgame. But I still do think that it's one of those things that it was so unique to basically comic book movies in general, because we'd never really seen that kind of team up of, I don't know, like second tier characters that people weren't really accustomed to, and it was kind of like very abrupt, right? It wasn't like a development or a build up into it. It was like, we're gonna throw this movie out there and hopefully people enjoy it. And sure enough, people enjoyed it. So
it was the Suicide Squad that worked.
Basically. Yeah, we're not talking about Suicide Squad.
Yeah, so better just leave that. You know what? It was one of those things where, as I was saying it, I was like,
yeah.
You know?
Listen, for what it's worth, I don't think, and now we're going off topic, I don't think that Suicide Squad is terrible, but it definitely fell short of expectations.
Well,
if you're comparing it to Guardians of the Galaxy, then yeah, it's not even close.
Unfortunately, they got rich characters there, but hey, we are here to talk about Endgame, and where we're going to start with Endgame, I think, if we haven't already, is the big six, or the six and the big three.
Yes.
So what we've noticed in Endgame is that it has done a good job of wrapping up all six of these characters' story arc, right? And pretty well too. Let's see. We got Cap, Tony, Thor. Those are the big three. Let's start with Cap. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So in the beginning, in what's it called? The first Avenger, we see Cap, and moving on from the first Avenger to the first Avengers, we see Cap, and he's a soldier by every sense of the word. His yes sir, no sir. I take orders. I ask no questions. I get the job done, whatever the job is. I don't want to know more about it. I just want to get the job done, be efficient, and be your captain. Fast forward to Winter Soldier, where he realizes, listen, the big bosses I'm working for, they're not doing what I see fit to be right. I have to change all this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Hydra, right?
Right.
S.H.I.E.L.D. has been infiltrated by Hydra, and a large portion of the people that work for S.H.I.E.L.D. are Hydra agents.
Yep. And we were talking about payoffs earlier, and man, when he was in that... by the way, this is a spoiler review. Anyways, so...
You've had 3 weeks.
Like, come on.
Just saying.
Right? If you wanted to see this movie... If you're
a casual fan, you're probably not going to be upset. If you're a big, huge fan, you should have already seen this movie. So.
Or else we're disappointed in you, and we won't forgive you.
Yes.
Ever.
Yeah, I'm not angry, just disappointed.
I hate that line, but I love it coming from you.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
We were just talking.
Right.
About
Cap in the elevator. So Cap in the elevator scene. It wasn't the same elevator scene as the Winter Soldier. He's a smarter Cap now. Well, almost a more efficient Cap than even back then.
Yeah, well,
because he's got some experience.
He's had time, right? He knows things. This is time travel. They've gone back in time, knowing what they know in the present.
Yeah.
To go back and do the missions.
And I love that because it's not so much a subtle callback to all those movies. But it's subtle enough to be like, when you watch it, you're like, oh, that's the perfect way to get out of that situation. You know what I mean? So when he's in the elevator, the audience is made to think, man, he's going to throw down a beating on all these guys again.
Right.
No. Cap knows better now.
Yeah.
So he's like, Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
Right?
He doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
He says his Hail Hydra, and they're like, okay,
yeah,
sure.
Well, all right.
Here's the scepter.
Yeah, and in that moment, it kind of unifies the audience with Cap. Not that we don't love Cap already.
Yeah.
But we're like with him, in with him on the inside, like secret. You know what I mean? we're in on it with Cap
Mm-hmm.
because we're like, oh, Hail Hydra, I get it.
Yeah.
Right. I thought that was so smart.
Mm-hmm.
That's one callback, and it's a 3-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's so many.
Well, and I think with Cap's story arc too, just touching again on what you said, so he goes from that soldier who, I think for the most part, is just there to, kind of go with the orders that he's been given. He's that guy he wants to fight bullies. That's what he says in the first Avenger, right? It doesn't matter where they're from.
Yeah, he's like, I don't like
I
bullies.
don't like bullies, and you see how his kind of motives and everything changed throughout his story arc and throughout Winter Soldier, and then obviously with Civil War, when again the Sokovia Accords are supposed to be signed,
yeah.
and he goes, this doesn't make any sense to me, right?
Because he learned from Civil War.
He learned Winter Soldier, right? Yeah. That if you're taking orders, unfortunately, sometimes those orders are coming from people that aren't all that trustworthy.
Yeah.
And so that kind of shows his kind of leadership and his growth and development, and that, listen, I understand that this is maybe the safer thing to do, where it would make people feel safer, but I have to kind of look inside myself, and I can't just start taking orders from anybody. I have to do what I believe is right, even if it isn't right.
Exactly. Even if it looks wrong right now.
Yeah.
Right? And I just thought of something. In Civil War, that what should I say? Captain America's arc clashes with Tony's arc at that perfect moment, right? Because Tony started out as selfish, and he's learning throughout this journey to be selfless. And what he thinks is right is, at that moment, is, listen, we're causing all these casualties. There needs to be guards on us.
Yeah, that's
right?
That's a good point, right? Like he starts, they're polar opposites in how they start out. So you know, Tony was the guy that, I'm not listening to anybody. I'm doing my own thing.
I'm rich.
Because remember in the second Iron Man, again, when he's in the Senate and he's being grilled over that, and they're talking about how like Iron Man should be controlled by the U.S. government, and he goes, I'm Iron Man. You can't control me.
Yeah.
And so it was that interesting kind of dichotomy where, you know, they're both at different ends of the spectrum, and as the movies go on, they kind of cross over and clash, and then end up kind of going in similar directions almost.
I almost wish I could make a graph.
I know.
For Cap and Tony,
it'd be too difficult because you'd have too many squiggly lines going all over the place.
It's true, right? So we touched on Cap, and he's selfless, and he is an all and out soldier. By this movie, he's more of an insurgent. And what is he? He's worthy.
Yes.
Worthy to do what?
I don't know. I haven't seen the movie.
Oh, you haven't seen the movie. Spoiler! Bro, didn't you predict this in the preview?
I said I had an expectation. Yeah.
Never. Okay. I don't know why, but never in my wildest dreams, even when you go back to Ultron and Cap pulls the hammer and budges it. I didn't think you'd actually be able to lift it eventually.
I had a feeling. I mean, you can't end...
But, yeah, I had a feeling, but are they going to put it in? Are they actually putting that in a movie?
Yeah. Oh, and they did.
They did, bro!
And it blew my mind, as well as the collective minds of everybody in the theater whenever I went to watch it.
Bro, okay, I'm going to tell you that right now. This is the way I describe it, and this is the way I describe it to everybody. At the beginning of Endgame, I picture Endgame as, like, awesome juice, right? Filling me up.
Yep.
It starts at the beginning, obviously, and by the time it's the final battle, I'm at this much of awesome juice. When Cap calls the hammer, and you see it's Cap that lifted the hammer, awesome juice everywhere. Bro, I exploded. I couldn't handle it. My ass was levitated off my seat. I don't know for how long, but it raised.
Was it levitating like Mjolnir there at the...
Bro, I was like Doctor Strange seeing 40 whatever possibilities.
14 million...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except I only saw that. And it was so awesome. Like the combos this guy was throwing at Thanos. Mjolnir and shield.
Yeah, he used the combo from the first Avengers when Thor slams down Mjolnir on the shield. He literally does that with his shield and Mjolnir. He throws his shield, throws Mjolnir, and just boom.
I'm getting chills just thinking. Like I can't even handle it, bro. I think I did one of these for a bit. Yeah. You know those ones.
Yep.
Where like.
You don't want to stand right up in front of people and piss them off, but at the same time you couldn't sit down.
Bro, I couldn't sit still, bro.
Yeah.
I've never heard a reaction like that in a theater. I'm 29, bro. I'm about to be 30. I've seen a lot of movies, but I've never, ever been in a theater that was that loud.
Oh, it was...
People lost it, bro. Lost it. The guy summoned lightning.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Lightning came out the ground.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, my God.
I just love that it wasn't like a straightforward like lightning strike to Thanos. No. That like he summoned it and then it cut through the ground to Thanos.
Like as it was happening, you know how after Avengers, after the movie, you were like, "Is this happening?" During this movie, I was like, I don't know if I'm actually seeing this.
Yeah.
It took me a second time. I had to see if what I saw was what I saw. And it was awesome. Loved it. So, Cap is now worthy of Mjolnir, and he's a badass insurgent, and he enforces the law on his own now, basically. Actually, not now, because now Cap's an old man. How did you like his send-off?
I thought it was good.
Appropriate?
Yeah, I think if you look back and I had mentioned it to this to you that his trajectory in terms of his relationship with Peggy kind of changed, and like it went in many different directions throughout the entire process. Because again, when it came to Ultron, I remember the line when like the big three are saying goodbye to each other. Yeah. Thor kind of jets off, and then it's just Tony and Cap. Tony's talking about how he's going to get like a farm for Pepper and all that stuff, and he's talking to Cap about if he wants a family, and Cap basically goes, well, I think that guy that wanted all that went in the ice 70 years ago, and the guy that came out doesn't really want that stuff anymore. So it was interesting to see that, and then almost like go right back in Civil War when she dies. You can see how just totally destroyed he is because of it.
And it's almost like he missed out.
Yeah, and so I think that kind of brought all those feelings back. And then obviously with everything else, and then in Endgame when he sees Peggy in the future or in the past when they go to 1970.
It looked like it hit him hard at that moment.
It did, right?
Regardless of everything going on, regardless of the situation and all that, in that moment, I felt like Cap was the most human then. Because all guys can relate to that. That one that they missed out on.
He wanted that simple married life with the love of his life, essentially.
I actually don't even think he knew that in Ultron.
No.
He had no idea he wanted that.
No, I don't think so. I think it took a few of those things for him to kind of look back and realize, maybe that is what I want, right?
Yeah, and I also think it took real tragedy and a real something devastating to happen for him to realize what he actually wants in this world.
And I think that's what you see in Civil War when Peggy dies.
Yeah.
And he's just completely distraught over it. Like
the guy leaves the meeting.
Yeah, right?
Completely.
Right? So I think overall, it was a pretty good send-off. Like we had spoken about in the preview, that maybe a death of his would have been more powerful. But I think the way that it was summed up, and then him actually passing on the mantle, worked a little bit better, because then there's like a continuation of like the Captain America persona, essentially. Icon, essentially. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Because I knew the reason I asked if you were happy with it is just because a lot of people they don't focus on just being happy with what they got. It's just questions, because it's a time travel movie, right? So they're just like, oh, how's he gonna put back the stones? Which is a real question, by the way. But how does the timeline work? Isn't he this and that, right? But people don't really focus on the fact that no, he got to be happy finally.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He got to have a life just like me and you are living now.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's something to look at. But sorry, go ahead.
You notice at the end there, the jacket that he's wearing on the bench is the same one that he was wearing in the 40s.
Oh, I actually didn't realize
Exact
that.
same jacket.
Oh, wow. Oh, shit, you're good.
Yep.
That was pretty
That's
good.
not actually just me picking up on that. That was, I saw a video. And
No,
they
that's
were,
okay.
Harking back to it. So.
No, it doesn't matter. We me and Jordan have watched videos on this.
Yes, all of the videos.
Not all of these are our ideas.
No.
A lot of them are.
All of the videos. Every single one. I've watched every video on YouTube. So.
Okay, so we talked about Cap, touched on Tony. We'll come back to Tony because he did.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Jeez.
really. Okay. Thor. What do you think of Thor as a sex symbol?
Ooh. No, you know what? I really like his trajectory or his character arc, and the great thing with Endgame is that his character arc isn't finished yet.
No.
We're gonna continue to see what he's doing, but I enjoyed how he basically was cocky all the way up to Endgame. Like in every movie that he was in, he knew that anybody that he took on, they couldn't defeat him. No. So why would he feel anything other than arrogance, right? Yeah. I can defeat anyone, and he even says that to Rocket when they have that scene, on the ship. Yeah. That I've been alive or I've lived for 1,500 years and I've killed twice as many, right? Yep. And so even when he was coming up against Thanos, it was just another number to him. He never feared him, and even when he gets to Wakanda and Infinity War,
he's like, "Bring me Thanos,
bring me Thanos," right? He wasn't scared. No. And then ultimately, it was his arrogance that resulted not solely resulted in, but his arrogance allowed for the snap, allowed for Thanos to snap his fingers, because instead of thinking clearly and going for the head,
one shot kill,
he went for the chest, and Thanos was still alive and was still able to use his extremities.
Man,
and boom!
Thor keeps his cool in that moment. With 100% fit Thor, he keeps his cool in that moment. It's not a contest. It's over.
Yeah.
We don't get Endgame, so thank you.
But again, I mean, he wasn't thinking clearly. No. It was I just want to beat. And again, it worked well because he's having this really big heart to heart with Rocket, which I really enjoyed that scene.
Yeah, me too.
More and more.
It's
really look at it.
Okay. I'll say something after.
And I actually like Thor Ragnarok more because of that specific scene. Because again, you see that he's trying to be happy and be like this funny kind of arrogant character, but you see that deep down he's absolutely destroyed. He's lost all of his family. He's lost
all his friends.
He's lost Asgard. Asgard is gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so again, he has this conversation. It's a very heartfelt moment, and I really enjoyed that. So you could see that he was beginning to really kind of search his feelings and understand what he was feeling, but at the same time, he continued to almost shield that with his arrogance.
Put on a persona.
Yeah, like, I'm Thor, I can do whatever I want, I'll kill this guy, no big deal, even though he's lost basically everything.
He was hanging on by a thread to that persona, man.
Right.
Because remember I think the first two Thors, you would always open by saying, "I'm Thor, son of Odin." Mm-hmm. By Endgame, by Infinity War, he wasn't saying any of that kind of stuff.
No, he was just... And I think he was more out for vengeance and more because of just the pain and anger that he was going through, but I still think that there was a sense of arrogance that he was using in order to cover up his true feelings. Yeah. And so what I really, really enjoyed about Endgame and Thor in Endgame is at the very beginning of the movie, obviously... you see he's really upset that he didn't... he's pissed at himself that he didn't end Thanos the right way. Thanos was able to do the snap. And then when they go to the garden to take care of him, they realize that, the Infinity Stones are gone and there's nothing that they can do.
I feel like at that moment he realized the magnitude of his failure.
Well, and at that point he had basically given up.
Yeah.
He realized that what he had lived throughout his entire life was wrong, and that he had nothing left, and that was fine. He was just going to go into hiding, and then obviously we come back to him 5 years later, and he's living in that, you know, that town in Norway, or the new Asgard in Norway, and obviously he's got the big gut, and he's playing, you know, video games with Korg and Meek, and you see like the full scale of like what has happened to him, how he is, and he doesn't want to face anybody. He doesn't want to be that leader. He doesn't want to do any of it because it's too painful.
And I feel like there's a little bit of almost like for the first time, a fear in him that he might mess up again.
Right.
You know.
Well, it's true.
If he might feel like he's a liability to this whole mission.
Well, and that's exactly it. So when Professor Hulk is talking to him and saying like, you got to come back with us, we need you and everything, and he doesn't want to. He's like, no, like, you know, I'm good and everything. I think it just comes down to he's afraid that he may fail again, that he may make a rash decision and do that. And obviously, as the movie goes on, he never does anything like that, and he's more of like, you know, the Big Lebowski throughout the entire movie. But
he went through it.
But that's exactly it. And so, you know, people were talking about how those jokes about how he was fat and he needs to eat a salad and all that weren't it was overplayed as the movie went on. I actually appreciate. I was okay with it because
me too.
Because you understood his pain and it added to that story.
Well, I don't really understand why people have a problem with that, because it's literally the physical representation or physical manifestation of what happens to somebody when they lose everything. The guy lost his parents. He lost his friends. His planet got destroyed.
His brother, who, even though they had their feuds,
dead. Watched him die.
Yes.
Best friend. Stabbed through the heart. Like,
the Warriors 3, they all vanished or perished on Asgard. Like, everybody.
I mean, who are these people that's really judging Thor right now? Like, what would happen to you if that happened to you?
Yeah.
You know? Like,
the
guy let himself go.
And that was the thing, is actually, I really appreciated when they went back to Asgard in the past. And he literally says, I think I'm having a panic attack, I think I'm having a panic attack. And it's real.
Yeah, like,
it's real.
I actually didn't even take that as a joke. I was like, this guy's, like, there's something wrong up here right now.
Like, psychologically, he is so messed up from what he has gone through that, like, all of that arrogance, it's gone. It no longer exists.
Well, notice, after he talked to his mom, there was no more jokes from Thor.
No.
You know, like, that set him straight.
He was completely serious.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, the one scene, the very short scene where, you know, Thanos, when they come to Earth and they shoot the Avengers facility.
Yeah.
And it collapses. And then it shows Thor, and he's just standing there on the ledge watching Thanos.
Yeah, with his hands in his pocket.
Yeah. And he's just, and then they're talking, the three of them are talking, like, you know, what is he doing? Nothing. Just sitting there. And, okay, are we going to take care of him? Okay, good.
I like it. Just so we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
Bro, and then he raises his hands.
Yeah. And Mjolnir and Stormbreaker.
At that moment, when I saw his eyes light up, I was like, we got Thor back, bro.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Well, we got the power of Thor. I don't know if we got
No,
Thor
we didn't.
back.
No, not 100% Thor. Like I said, 100% Thor, he can at least hold his own with that Thanos. with the Infinity War Thanos, I think 100% Thor kicks his ass. This Thanos, he's a war-torn Thanos. He is ready for any fight.
Oh, absolutely.
Any fight.
He doesn't fear anything.
No.
He doesn't fear anything.
So yeah,
so like talking about just like his character arc, Thor's character arc again. I think we do start to see kind of the makings of the hero that he can become and the inspiration that he can become, right? Somebody that isn't arrogant. He knows that he's strong, but also realizes that he has his faults as well.
Yeah, he also realizes he has a responsibility.
And so that's why I liked at the end of the movie when he's talking to Valkyrie and he's saying, you know, this place already has a king, talking to her basically like she's going to take over. he realizes, listen, I'm not fit to be a leader. That's not who I am, and I need to figure out who that is. Yeah. And that's awesome. I think that's a
massive lesson for any kid out there too, right? Because I keep going back to his talk with his mom. There was something that really stuck with me. She said, she said, well, yeah, you failed. Thor, everybody fails at who they're supposed to be. Yeah. And I was like, God, that's brilliant.
It is.
Of course they do. Yeah. I don't know who the hell I'm supposed to be. I'm probably failing now. But I mean, I am who I am. You know what I mean? Like, man,
yeah, that was beautiful. And that was a great line, and he actually went back to that at the end there when he's talking about, I this isn't who I'm supposed to be.
And want to get yourself straight? Talk to your mom.
Yes. Anyways. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there too. Hi, Mom. They know what's best. So
they know.
So listen to them. Yeah. So I thought that his character arc was fantastic, and we'll continue to see as the movies go on, because he's got his new contract, so he's going to be in more movies.
Hey.
We will get to see maybe a different side of Thor that now, listen, yes, he's the almighty Thor, but he is more human, if you will.
Yes. One more thing about Thor, I like in his character arc how I noticed in Infinity War when Gamora was feeling his muscles. You don't see that in this movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they focus a lot on how, first of all, good-looking Chris Hemsworth is. First of all, guys, relax. He's just not fair looking, okay?
Yeah, like he's...
No homo. I don't even have to say no homo to this.
Yeah.
He's just an unfair-looking human being.
He is.
He's the Rihanna of men.
Yeah.
Anyways, Gamora's talking about how good-looking he is. Everybody's talking about how good-looking and muscular he is. They completely flip that on its head in this movie. Like, I saw a meme that said what women are going to Endgame to see, and it was short Thor with his shirt off, and then at the bottom it said the plot thickens. I died.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I died. That was amazing. Awesome. Oh, man. Anyways, I thought that character arc was awesome.
Yeah.
All of them are great, but those three, Cap, Tony, and Thor, bravo, Russo brothers. Now we move on to Widow and Hawkeye. I found that Widow found her sense of purpose.
Yeah.
They allude to the Avengers being her only family.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, in all of the movies, I feel like she has been looking to find her place in the team. What is her purpose in the team? And in this moment, or in this movie, I found that she finally was staring that in the face.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
And there was no way she was going to let Clint take that away, Hawkeye take that away from her.
Yeah.
I was so... my emotions were like this in that moment.
Well, they literally fought each other.
They fought each other to die.
To sacrifice themselves.
Give me an emotional break, bro.
And so it's funny going back to the preview and how literally on one of my expectations, I was more of like, I wanted her to die because I was like, she serves no purpose. This is boring. Move on.
And we were even talking about in the end fight, what the hell is she gonna do?
Yeah, right.
Cap somebody?
Yeah. She's just gonna start shooting her. Yeah.
There's too many enemies for that.
And so when it comes to the point where she ends up sacrificing herself, I was like, hold on, did I have a premonition here? What did I?
That's what's called a premonition. You did.
But it was a purposeful ending, right? So it was the exact opposite of what I was saying. I was like, oh, she's gonna die, no big deal, it's gonna be done.
I had a feeling that you might have been thinking that she's dying in battle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what I
In no way would I think she would sacrifice herself. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I should have known.
Yeah.
I also should have known that Tony's the one to die. Now that I look at the whole big picture, I should have known. But I mean,
hindsight is 20/20, though, right? Obviously, you can only speculate at that point. So,
my dude, Hawkeye swan dived off a cliff and she caught him.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think this movie could do any more to me, like in my heart. But in that moment, like I was a mess. I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
But now that I look back, like I said, it makes complete sense. Of course, she found her sense of purpose.
Well, and that's exactly it. The Avengers were her only family, and Clint,
That's
Hawkeye.
not the case for Hawkeye.
He had a family outside of the Avengers, right? And I think it goes back to, again, that whole thing about... I think that we're going to find out in the Black Widow movie the whole event with, like, Budapest that they mentioned as well.
God, I hope so.
But also going back to the whole red in her ledger. That goes back to the first Avengers. And like, it was never explained what that red in her ledger was. So I think maybe... the reason why she sacrificed herself, aside from obviously wanting to save her family, it was that, again, she had so many other things that she had done that maybe she had felt almost guilt towards.
I could see that.
And believed that she maybe was kind of irredeemable, like she couldn't come back from it in a way.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is, this Hawkeye was dealing with that same thing, but just for recent events, right? Back to your point about red in her ledger. She said that in the first Avengers to Loki when he's in the Hulk cage, right? She says that, and in this movie, I feel she wipes that ledger out because in the first Avengers, she said that she had a particular set of skills. She didn't care who she used it on or for, and she got on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s radar in a negative way. I feel like I'm quoting Avengers right now.
Yeah.
Right? She got on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s radar in a negative way, and she said that Clint was sent to take her out. He made a different call. I feel like that is the red in her ledger. And this squares it all off for her.
Well, and that's interesting that you say that.
So
If you look at that, then instead of it would have been a forceful, like, kind of assassination.
Yeah.
Instead, it's all in her power. She decides, listen, I'm going to sacrifice myself.
Yeah.
And Clint can't do anything about it.
I mean, there's Tony, there's Cap. She might be the Dark Horse MVP of this whole movie.
Well, I mean, without her, they don't get the Soul Stone.
No, it's impossible. Right?
So then they only have 5 of the 6, and they're not snapping the gauntlet. And then Thanos is probably figuring out real quick. Okay, well the other one's over here, and I can go and get it. So.
Oh man, we gotta stop. We gotta stop real quick because the moment this whole movie turned is when the present day Nebula was projecting the past Nebula's plan, and the whole plan got revealed to Thanos. Oh my god. Everybody I went with was in their seat like
how is this happening?
Shit.
Yeah.
Like, we've been found out.
Well, because we forget that Nebula is...
She's connected to...
Well, she's large part machine, right?
Yeah.
So, and obviously with space science, somehow future projections can be recorded and projected in the past.
The Maw. He said, well, what did Thanos say to him? He's like, I want to see everything. I want to see everything she saw. And in that moment, I'm like, okay, well, yeah. Okay, now we're fucked. Yeah. We're fucked now. Yeah. Like, good job, guys.
Yeah.
Because now I don't know what's going to happen because this Thanos is different. The first time we see this Thanos, this guy's wiping blood off his sword.
Yeah.
Fresh blood.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it literally just come from battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the moment the whole movie just took a complete turn for me. I was like, I don't know how they're going to do this because
because now he knows. Now he knows. So all he's going to do is just go to the future and wait, and that's what he did. Right?
That's what he did. God, Thanos. I love when you talk your shit. I love it. I love it. It brought me. Where'd it bring you? Back to me. Please.
Yeah.
Imagine someone saying that to you on like the ice rink.
Yeah, and meanwhile that Thanos had never actually met any of the Avengers.
But he didn't care.
But he didn't.
He was just ready.
because he knew that it was going to happen. So he's like, okay, well,
That's
you're
what he
back.
says. The guy says, "I'm inevitable."
Yeah.
The writing is just top notch.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. All right, so where do we go now? To Hulk?
Yeah, I guess so.
Mr. Hulk.
I guess so.
So I don't remember, but did you predict Professor Hulk?
I didn't, but I didn't have to because I think we all knew that we were gonna get Professor Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
It had been alluded to, so
Yeah, it was alluded to in Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
It hints that Banner might be the Hulk forever if he changes it even one more time.
Mm-hmm.
He says that to Thor, and Thor takes it really lightly.
Yeah,
which is hilarious. But we see the true manifestation of Hulk merging with Banner.
Yeah,
and it's not bad. He's not as battle effective.
Yeah,
but
he's smarter.
He's smarter. Yeah,
he's smarter.
A lot smarter.
Right.
One moment with Hulk that I did like is when he has to go get the time stone from
Oh my god,
from the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
And what does he say? She's like, I don't want to do this. And he's like, listen, I don't want to do this either, but I need that stone. Yeah. I'm just paraphrasing here, but at that moment, I was like, Hulk, if you can hear me, listen to me.
Stop.
This is not a fight that you want right now.
And then sure enough, she punches the life force out of him.
Bro, I was like, yo, Hulk, you don't want this smoke, bro.
Right?
Then she did the same thing she did to Doctor Strange. And I'm like, at that moment, I was like, this movie's awesome.
Yeah. I just love, too, that, again, we get to see, the Sorcerer Supreme in Manhattan during the Battle of 2012.
Did you see when she was just fending off, like, little things?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously it makes sense now that we know of the entire universe, and that's where the one sanctum is. But even still, like, you don't think about that. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, yeah. She would have been there, right? Because she was the one that guarded that sanctum. So, yeah, of course she would be. And then the fact that, Banner or Professor Hulk is talking about, I need to talk to Stephen Strange.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you're about 5 years too early.
That was brilliant.
He's downtown, or he's uptown right now doing surgery and things like that.
Man, in one conversation, they showed exactly who the Sorcerer Supreme is. Mm-hmm. It showed, this person is all-powerful when it comes to the mystic arts. Yeah. Like, there's no getting anything past her. Yeah. So, yeah, I enjoyed that so much. Mm-hmm. And I loved that. I like the Russo brothers' ability to know what we want.
Mm-hmm. Without us knowing what we want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And changing it. Mm-hmm. Like, they did the complete opposite. Remember we were talking about World Breaker Hulk? And how we want to see Hulk get his revenge against Thanos and all that? Everybody was saying that. What did the Russo brothers do? They know people want that. Mm-hmm. But what they did the complete opposite. They made him an intellectual.
Yeah, we're gonna give you Professor Hulk, but you're also going to like it, right?
How? Yeah. How? Yeah. How do you talk? How do you out-talk the Sorcerer Supreme? Mm-hmm. But they did it. They did it, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it was just talking about how Doctor Strange gave out the time, and then as soon as he said that, she went,
"Yeah,
like what?"
She's like, "Whoa,"
because it's their entire reason for existing is to protect this Infinity Stone.
And she's like, wait a second, what do you mean he gave it up willingly? Yeah. He's the best of us. Yeah. And she figured, I guess, like, if he's the best of us,
he had to have done it for a reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was all brilliant. Hulk, he had a small arc, but it was an arc, and it was perfect for his character.
Well, and I think, again, we haven't got any official word on, like, Ruffalo in the next, phases or whatnot. But I feel like he will remain. I think he'll continue to be around, maybe in small parts.
Yeah, it doesn't take much for them to do Hulk. I mean.
And that's the thing is, I think eventually we will start to see like either like World Breaker Hulk or Clue, which is his like the Hulk's Hulk basically.
The Hulk is a Hulk.
Yeah. That's what his name is. It's Clue. It's Hulk backwards, right? And so he turns. He basically like doubles in size and turns gray. But now he's just pure rage monster.
Jesus.
And
what if Thor's the one who has to come get him?
Oh my god!
What if Thor is the one that has to come get?
No,
Hulk?
at this point, I think they have enough powerful characters in the MCU
that
they'd be able to handle. Well, not necessarily handle him, but figure something out.
Yeah,
right?
it's like,
They'd
Hulk's acting up again.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Now he's in the Hulk's version of the Hulk. So, yeah, I think maybe we'll see that down the line. But for what it's worth, I think it worked pretty well.
Yeah, definitely.
I kind of like the humor of Professor Hulk and how again, there was just certain things that
he's so nice.
Yeah. When they get to 2012 and you see like the Hulk of 2012 and he's smashing everything.
He takes the motorcycle.
And then they're like, you gotta go, and he like rips off and he's just like, all right, I think this is a bit excessive or something like that, and he goes over and he's like, and then like slams down the taxi and then goes over, picks up the
no effort, just
throws it and then just kind of. Okay, and then walks away.
He's like, I'm done.
Yeah. Like, I thought that was hilarious.
It was great. I love the humor in this movie, man.
Yeah.
I liked the humor in this movie, especially when it was coming from people like Hulk, Ant-Man. Rocket had a few lines in there. Mm. I love when Tony's like, for a second I thought you were Build-A-Bear. And Rocket's like, maybe I am.
Maybe I am, right?
Yeah, you don't know what the hell you are.
Well, he's never figured out what he is, right? Yeah. So it was a great line, like, maybe I am.
That is even a callback, because I remember in Guardians of the Galaxy, I think it was Rocket said something like, what is a raccoon or something like that, and he's like, listen, the only thing like me is me.
Yeah.
And they call back to it in this now.
But again, he got very angry when Drax basically made fun of him, or like, called him out for being this like rabbit or whatever it is, right? And he got really angry with that. And now he's just kind of like, I'm pretty much what I am. So.
Hey, that's an arc in itself.
Right?
Right? Rocket's arc is an arc in itself. What did Rocket used to be? Just a trigger happy.
Well, they were like thieves, basically.
Yeah.
They were just thieves. He and Groot worked together, and they would like go and like steal things, and they get thrown in prison.
Yeah, they're like,
they'd break out of prison. They were really good at it. Rocket made that.
Yeah, they did it a few times.
Yeah. But that's what they did, right? Yeah. That was kind of their purpose.
Yeah.
So. And
he makes a complete character arc or change or whatever when he's talking, when he slaps Thor and he's like, listen, snap out of it, bro. I've lost the only family I've ever had. Mm-hmm. And you've lost these people. Try to help me get my family back. Come on.
You've only partially lost people.
Yeah, that's it.
Right?
Yeah. So I like, oh man, I can't say enough good things about this movie, man. We have a lot of stuff written down here, and we're getting to the best part now. Thanos and Co. versus all the Avengers, or all the Avengers versus Thanos and Co.
Well, I mean, before that begins, the one scene that we see where it's zoomed out, and it's Cap, who's already been beat down, with half a shield.
Bro, he gets stabbed right through here.
Yeah.
Just tightens it.
He just tightens it up.
Oh.
He grimaces, tightens it up, and then you see that huge, like, wide shot of him on the rock and Thanos and the entire army moving towards him.
Well, the thing is, first you saw, the shot began with, like, as you said, Cap tightens his shield. Then you see Cap walking towards Thanos, and then there's a wide shot of just him and Thanos, and then it goes even wider to see the whole
and it's
army.
Everybody, and it's literally Cap versus everybody else. Thanos and his entire army, and then it leads into the epic "On Your Left."
Oh, come on! Okay, before we get there, man, the look we got to talk about the performances of these actors, because the look on Chris Evans's face when he sees Thanos and his whole army behind him, it's not fear.
No,
it's not fear. It's just, this has gotten a lot harder.
Well, it was that Cap from the beginning. Like, I don't like bullies.
No.
And I'm going to do whatever I can, even if I have to lay down my life. I'm going to do whatever that needs to be done in order to defeat this.
I love that there wasn't a moments of hesitation.
No.
And you know what? There was a moment like that I felt similar in Infinity War when Thanos shows up. Banner says, "Cap, that's him." I don't know. Everybody else seems shook. Cap is the only one who wasn't phased.
Yeah, Cap goes over to him and decides, okay, well, I'm going to try and take care of this guy.
Yeah. No hesitation whatsoever. With a full Infinity Gauntlet, no hesitation. This guy says, eyes up, guys. Ready to go. That is the person I want leading me into whatever.
Ever, yeah.
The guy does not flinch, bro. Ever.
Yeah.
Remember, this is his first time seeing Thanos. He's heard about him for years. First time seeing him. No. Yeah. Eyes up. Let's do this. Let's go.
I don't like bullies, and if you're another bully, I'm going to take care of you, basically.
No flinching.
Right.
No flinching.
Right.
He's a Titan.
Yeah. He's literally one of the most powerful beings in the universe.
Yeah.
Like, there are some of like the Celestials who fear Thanos for how powerful he is.
Yeah.
And
how ruthless he is.
And how ruthless he is. And yet Cap, even though he may respect how powerful Thanos is, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, man. It's not like, and this would have been allowed for almost any other character. You see Thanos and you're like, oh shit. Okay. And then they go into it, right? No, that's not Cap at all. Thanos shows up, he's like, let's go.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's like if you're phasing Michael Jordan and you're not even phased that he's Michael Jordan.
That'd be pretty impressive.
That would be pretty impressive.
Good for you.
Cap could probably beat Michael Jordan, whatever.
Cap could beat anybody.
He's Cap. He's Cap.
Yeah.
Okay, so this battle scene, man. Favorite part
of the entire battle scene?
Yes, just the battle scene. We can't do the movie because there's way too many.
Oh God. Well, I mean, I think my favorite part of that scene specifically is when everybody's lining up and Cap gets Mjolnir back and he goes, Avengers assemble, and then everybody goes. And then everybody goes.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, are we actually seeing this?
Yes.
Like we've been waiting for 11 years and we're actually seeing this.
I love the drama
Yeah.
Of him. I know it's a small thing, but I love the drama of him catching it.
Yeah, because it could have just been because Thor just catches it like this, right? He doesn't have to.
That's good too.
But Cap is just he does the pullback when he gets
he puts his body into it just
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Come on.
And then it was on. And and that was another moment where the entire theater erupted because again, we've been waiting that long to hear just that line.
Just
Avengers
those
Assemble.
2 words.
Yeah, right?
Oh.
And we got a taste of it at the end of Ultron.
Avengers!
And then he goes and then it cuts.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Because it just leaves us hanging. It's like, okay, all right, fair enough. I see what you did, Russos.
Yeah. Cap was fighting, man, there's so many good things. Cap was fighting with a broken shield and Mjolnir. And he even picked up Stormbreaker for a time. And then
that was a great moment. No, you get the small one.
You get I know I'm a little fucked up, but don't get it twisted. He's
literally, so he's worthy, so he can pick up any of the weapons. Yeah. He's just like, no, you get the small one.
Let's slow down.
Let's slow down. You just were able to pick this up, so let's just chill.
Exactly. Another moment I like. Okay, would you if I said a few years ago, listen, I want Spider-Man riding a Pegasus? How would you even think that was possible?
I'd be like, that seems completely random. I don't even know why that would be a thing.
But man, it made perfect sense and it was awesome. I love the whole football with the gauntlet. I love when Black Panther got it. You saw some serious speed from Black Panther, which is expected. Mm-hmm. He's a Black Panther.
Well, yeah.
Right? Spider-Man gets it. And I love the whole running back thing with the whole gauntlet. It was beautiful. And it gave Clint something to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and so it's interesting too, and I read just another video that I was watching that brought this up, but in Civil War, Black Panther basically like just passes, because Clint introduces himself. He's like, "I am Clint," and he's like, "I don't care."
They call back to that.
And then it comes to this movie,
Clint,
and right, all of a sudden they care, and it's like, "Oh, okay, that's cool."
You know my name.
Yeah, right. Like that was pretty cool. Another moment that I really liked that I didn't catch in the first screening of it, but I caught in the second one, because again, obviously you see a lot more in the extra viewings, but Ant-Man or Giant Man at this point, literally punching.
I saw that.
Punching the Chitauri.
Oh man, like, the ship.
Yeah.
Oh,
literally punching it out of the air, and I was like, "That's so dope."
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, that was excellent.
Yeah. Because he was massive. I think that was
huge.
the largest he had been, like even bigger than Ant-Man and the Wasp.
He came through the Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah.
With War Machine, Rocket, and Groot, I think,
and Hulk, I think.
Yeah, and Hulk, and
because
he
Hulk
rescues all of them.
Because Hulk only had one kind of arm to use.
No, Hulk was fried by that time, but he still joined.
Of course.
Oh man, Giant Man was a great moment.
That I think the moment that kind of got everybody excited too, just before he says, or Cap says, "Avengers assemble," is literally when Sam gets over the radio and he's just like, Cap, can you hear me?"
Oh my God.
And then all of a sudden, and Cap's like
he's like,
he can hear it, and then all of a sudden it's the one like vortex that opens, and Black Panther walks through with Shuri and
the door,
and that's exactly it. And it's all calm, doesn't say a word, and I thought that was super powerful because it was like
almost eerie.
Yeah, and then all the rest come through and they don't say a thing. They're just there, and I'm like.
Yeah. Oh.
That gave me goosebumps as well because again, it was silence. It was Sam talking, and then all of a sudden these come through, and then it's Sam on your left, and then
how perfect was on your left? How perfect is that?
Of course, and then he flies through, and I'm like, okay.
I feel like I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
Like on your left? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Really?
On your left. By the way, for the casual fan, you have to see Captain America Winter Soldier in order to understand the on your left.
Do yourself a favor.
Yes, go and see it. Why haven't you seen it?
Yeah. If you're watching this video, you should have seen all 21 movies before this. We won't judge you if you haven't, but we recommend that you do.
There are a handful of movies that you should have seen, and Winter Soldier is one of them. So,
one other small thing I liked in that battle. Activate kill mode. Oh my God!
Activate instant kill, and it's just the legs just going.
Bro, the legs were just poking people, bro. I was like, oh man.
And that's another thing that was in Homecoming. Yeah. That's another thing that you have to see and understand, right?
You got to, because otherwise you'd be like, even people who know Spider-Man wouldn't know that Tony made that suit.
Yeah, activate instant kill.
They don't know what that is.
Okay, cool. That's a cool feature. But if you saw Homecoming, you'd go, "That's right," because when Friday basically said activated instant kill, he's like, no, I don't want to kill anybody.
Oh, this time he was so down. He's like, I got a bunch of aliens. Let's get this.
Let's get this.
So, man.
So those are the things. Like you don't have to see these movies beforehand, but those are the small things that you pick up on because you've seen the previous movies. So that's what I enjoyed so much about it, is all those small things. So.
Oh man, there were so many. Activate instant kill. Like I can't even.
There was what do you think of Captain Marvel's entrance?
You know what? I don't like Captain. I've made this known. I don't really like Captain Marvel as a character. I think she's a bit of a bitch. And maybe that's just her character, and maybe that's how she starts off, and maybe that's her character arc. I did like her entrance to the battle, though.
Well, it was great, right? Because so Thanos' ship is firing down on everybody, and then
Red fire.
yeah, and then all of a sudden it stops, and all the cannons point up, and then they're shooting, and everybody's going, okay, what are they shooting at?
Yeah.
And then obviously Friday is in Tony's ear going, something just entered the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And sure enough, you see this streak of light just fly right in, and
She
just
was
literally destroyed the ship.
Oh, yeah.
Flew through it, went down, flew right back up,
Yep.
and destroyed the ship. And you saw in that moment too. All of a sudden, Thanos just looks up in complete disbelief. He's just like,
yeah. At that moment was, I think, even in both movies, Infinity War and Endgame, for the very first time, I think you see panic.
Yeah.
In Thanos'
because he couldn't believe, he couldn't believe what was going on.
No.
But just before that, I really liked how kind of OP Scarlet Witch was.
Oh yeah, she was
right.
Pissed. She was pissed.
She was pissed, but it made her more powerful.
Yeah.
She literally, the reason why Thanos told them to rain fire was because
she was
ripping him apart.
Yeah.
Right?
She was going to kill him.
Which shows just how powerful she actually is, and I think we've seen a very underpowered Scarlet Witch now, with good reason too,
Yeah,
because they wanted to focus on the other characters, right? She's there, but she was never really the focal point.
No.
But to see that and to see her completely torn apart, because again, Thanos destroyed Vision and took everything away from her, and now she's like, all right, I'm just angry, so I'm gonna use all my powers. And actually, there's a story in the comics. This is another side story where her family is killed.
Oh shit!
And she becomes so distraught that she ends up basically overcome with rage. And because of her powers, the reality, it's the ether. She literally creates a new universe.
Jeez.
Because she's so distraught. Now, obviously, we didn't see that because that would be crazy.
Obviously.
But now there's the possibility that could be the case going forward, right? Where she could do that.
How OP do they want to make her? What do they really want to do with her going forward, right?
Well, they have a show on the Disney streaming service, and it's her and Vision, right? So maybe we'll see something there.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not that interested in that Scarlet Witch Vision series.
Well, I just honestly, I wish that they would just keep it to movies. But
at the same time, I'm not seeing a Scarlet Vision movie either.
No. No, again, and that's exactly it. Even though they're incredibly powerful, to have them have their own movies doesn't really make much sense.
No, some characters should just be side characters.
Yeah,
for sure.
But I
love that movie.
But Scarlet Witch, that could be the introduction to mutants as well, because technically she is a mutant.
We'll get to mutants for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we got to talk about before our last topic is Tony's sacrifice.
Yes,
man.
we did. We didn't talk about Tony.
I just want to say, I Am Iron Man is perfect.
Oh,
it is.
Yeah.
And I heard from the Russo brothers that is the very last thing they shot. Mm-hmm. And it was the editor, I think they said, that suggested that line.
Yeah, because it was never in the script.
Yeah, they were just going to have him smile or something.
And then snap his fingers.
This was... at that moment, that was them just tying the bow on all of it.
Well, because it was perfect too, because it's Tony being Tony.
It's the ultimate callback.
I am Iron Man, right? Again, it goes back to the first movie.
When
the
he's
very
in front of the
first
press.
movie. And again, he owns up to it.
I just watched the first Iron Man the other day. This guy just took a piece of paper from Rhodey and he's trying to read what he's, was supposed to say. And then he just gives up.
Yeah,
he's like, you know what?
I am Iron Man.
I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
And then the crowd goes wild.
And that's exactly it. So I love how and this is where I kind of saw the correlation when Thanos said, "I am inevitable," and he said it a couple of times, obviously in the beginning of the movie, and then later on when he's about to snap his fingers. And then realizes, oh, there's no Infinity Stones here. And then it pans over to Tony, and he goes,
the stones are getting right back into place,
right? And then he goes, and I am Iron Man, and then snaps his fingers, and I was like,
but check it. The moment before that, what was really creepy is Doctor Strange going like this.
And
my god!
And it wasn't just like him going like this.
No,
it was like he was holding up, and he was just.
Yeah, because he told him during the battle, Doctor Strange has this talk with Iron Man, and Iron Man flies over to him mid battle, and he's like, "Yo,
Is this the one
one chance."
And he says, "Well, if I tell you, then it's not going to be the
Yeah,
one."
he's like, "Yo, tell me this is it,
Yeah.
please."
If I tell you, then it isn't.
Yeah.
Basically, and
God.
and then again, he just and at that point you knew. At that point,
I'm going to be honest,
when he,
I didn't.
When he held up his finger, when he held up his finger, you knew.
Yeah.
You knew. Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
Tony's dying here.
Oh man.
Tony's gonna die here, but it's gonna be a sacrifice, and he's gonna do it for the universe. And
I love the look. Oh my god! Like I said, the acting from the performance from these actors.
Yeah.
The look on his face
just
when
very
he snapped.
subtle things. Very subtle. Things. But I mean, again, like even when Doctor Strange is holding up the one finger, and you look, and it pans back to Tony. And and you see in his eyes that he realizes in that moment what has to happen.
Yeah, and the moment when he is snapping is almost like someone deciding to jump off a 50-foot cliff that they've just been looking at.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, all right.
And
he's just like, and he goes, and he does it. And I was like, and you know what? It almost took, the consequences of that almost just left my mind when I saw everybody dusting away. And I love how Thanos dusted away. There wasn't a sense of fear. It was just, finally been beaten.
Well, it was acceptance.
Yeah.
It was, listen, somebody beat me.
Yeah.
And
almost like fair and square.
And it goes back to the line that he said at the beginning of the movie when it was destiny not the beginning of the movie, but when past Thanos, which is the one that ends up dying anyway, sees the vision that through Nebula's eyes of him in the future, getting his head chopped off, and then he says to Gamora and everybody that's there, he goes, and that's destiny fulfilled. Yeah. And so you think of that line in that moment when snap. And he starts dusting away, and again, it's destiny fulfilled, and he's going to live with it essentially. Yeah, and that's again another great point in the movie where I feel like if they had have given him a line at that point, it would have been almost like a cop out. Whereas it was an eerie silence.
Yeah, silence again. The way they use it,
and it was just him accepting what was at that point.
Yeah, he's like, there's, on his face, I could see there's nothing I can do about this. Mm-hmm. Here I go. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm done. Mm-hmm. Beaten, fair and square. Yeah. Finally. Yeah. Done. And I just love how they wrapped up that whole battle, man. It was a sense of peace. And like I said, when everybody was dusting away, I almost forgot the consequence of Tony until it comes back to Tony and he's
crawling up and then propping himself up.
Yeah, he makes himself comfortable against the thing, and then I see the side of his face and I was like, nah, there's no way.
There's no way. There's no way. Right? Because it
fucked up the Hulk.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I don't even know why when he snapped, I was just like, yes, Tony, finally. Yes, nice. But then it didn't clue in that I was like, nah, like this will kill him.
And that's the laying down on the wire. That
and it calls back again
in the first Avengers. Listen,
you're not the one to make the sacrifice play
and lay down on the wire, and then he says, "Well, I would just cut the wire." But this time, it's no, I have to. Yeah. I'm the only one that can do this at this point.
And man, I like again. Hindsight is 20/20, but when I look at the entire MCU, I should have known Tony would die. I really should have. It was
truly, to me, a fitting end to his character, but the last 11 years basically, because again, it all started with him. It basically ended with him. Now, obviously, Spider-Man: Far From Home is the last movie in Phase 3, and then obviously they're moving into Phase 4. But taking that out of there, just basically saying that Endgame is the last one, it makes sense, and it worked out. It worked out well. That what I liked most about it was the three people that had been with him since the beginning, which were Rhodey, Pepper, and then not necessarily from the beginning, but he treated him like a son in Peter, right? And so those were those were the three that basically came to him in his dying moments, right? And that's what I really enjoy.
Actually, that's a good realization too. And what I want to say about that when they are all saying goodbye is the part I really liked in that is I like what Peter had to say to Tony, but what I like even more is how Pepper slowly moved him aside and had her moment with him. And as she was talking to him, strong, rock solid. Mm-hmm. She's like, don't worry.
We're going to be okay.
We're going to be okay. You can rest now. Because in the beginning, remember, she says, yeah, but will you be able to rest? Like, when he finally solves time travel,
will you be able to rest?
Because he's tempted. Because he has all of it. He has a wife. He has a daughter. He has a house. Everything's peaceful.
Yeah.
He can live a complete life now.
Yeah.
He throws it all away because he can't rest until
knowing that he could go and change the course of things.
As Tony Stark, he can't do that, and she knows it. She said, "My greatest fear was trying to get you to stop and failing. That was my greatest fear. But now everything's done. You can rest now." God, man, that almost tore me apart, bro.
Well, and what hit me the most about his death was his light going out.
That was the most final part.
Because I remember back in the first Iron Man, in the cave, when he's got that, and the light goes on. And then you've got the scientist who sacrifices himself in order for Tony to survive. And basically going, don't waste this. And so that's like the first time we see the light going on. And then we see Pepper's hand on the light,
and then it just goes,
and then it just goes out.
Has her hands on the thing,
and then it just goes out. And that was the moment where I knew it was real, right? Like, again, we've had some deaths in the MCU that didn't turn out to be deaths, but this was real because it was like that was the light that started the universe. That's the light that's ending it, basically.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, it was poetic, really.
All of it. The symmetry is perfect. And when her hand slides off his chest piece, but right before that, I knew what was happening, but in my head I know Tony, so I'm like, I know that it would be inappropriate, but I was still kind of expecting one more quip from Tony, and I don't know why, and I'm glad I didn't get it. Because this hurt, man. It hurt.
Well, it was made to.
It was one of those things, like, it hurt so good, because you felt like the story, you were just closing the book at that moment, to end the story. So, to end it all off, how does Marvel top this?
Well, I mean, we've been asking that question after basically every spectacle that they come out with, and they continue to top every spectacle. So
I remember saying, how do you top that after the first Avengers?
Yep.
I remember saying, how do you top that after Civil War?
Yep.
And now we're here one more time.
Yeah, because, why not, right?
So how do you think?
What I'm really excited about is, and I don't know if this is spoiler territory, but, spoiler alert just in case, with the new Far From Home, Spider-Man Far From Home trailer.
Yeah.
And it talks about the multiverse.
Okay.
And I think that's how it'll kind of top what we've seen. Now we will get literally multiple universes and characters from multiple universes that will be able to kind of...
come in and out.
Will be able to, transition between Earths, between planets, between universes and things like that. So... that's where I think we'll get maybe, the X-Men. They'll maybe be from a different universe, and because it's the multiverse now they're able to come in. So, I questioned them every single time, and I was like, there's no way they can top it, and they topped it every time. So I'm not even going to ask the question. I'll ask it, knowing, though, that they're going to anyway.
Don't bet against Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna say it like, oh, how are they going to top this? I'm going to be like, I'm wondering how they're going to top it because
Yeah.
I know that they are.
Yeah.
So, and that was the thing coming out of Endgame. I was like, what else can happen? Like, this was such a good movie, and it summed up everything so well. Like, how
Yeah.
could they possibly? And I was like, I feel like anything from now on is going to be a bit of a letdown. And
Maybe.
just seeing this trailer from Far From Home, and then, listen, the movie could be terrible.
Could be.
Who knows? But just that trailer, the way that it was put together, I was like, okay, you know what? Listen, I trust you. I'm good. I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Marvel, Kevin Feige, you know what you're doing.
That's 10 years of trust built up, though.
Yeah.
Right? You got to work for that.
And you know what? I think that's this is kind of this is going in a different direction, but I think that's what a DC needs if they want to be successful like that. Is they need a Kevin Feige.
They do. Yeah.
They need
one
somebody.
person in charge.
They need somebody who is going to have a vision for the entire slate of movies, not just going to random directors and saying, "Okay, here you go and do your movie. You go and do your movie." It doesn't really have to connect. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
No, this is what we want to do. This is where we see things going. With that in mind, go and do your movies. With the greater or the grander scale in mind that,
Right.
listen, we want these stories to get to this place.
Yeah, they need a definitive beginning,
Mhm.
and then they need to show someone in charge where this is going to end up.
Mhm.
And that person who's in charge needs to have the faith in that Kevin Feige-esque person to know that in between, we are going to make it worth it. So that it gets to that point.
That and realizing, listen, not every movie that we're going to put out is going to, do gangbusters and it's going to be this huge, massive block. But because you look at even Marvel, like, listen, Thor: The Dark World,
not the best.
Not the best, and it didn't do very well. But that they didn't look at that and freak out and go, "Oh God, our universe is crumbling here." No, listen. It was a minor hiccup. It didn't do all that well, but let's focus on what we have next and make it really good. And that's what happened. So again, you're not going to have every movie in the universe be this amazing spectacle, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay because if every movie is at the level of like Endgame, I don't think
broke.
But I don't think anybody would appreciate them anymore, right? Like I think you kind of need that ebb and flow where it's you hit those really big highs and then you come down a little bit and you get those kind of not necessarily bad movies, but you get those movies that are maybe a little bit of a step down, and then you go back into the highs.
Yeah.
Like that's, I think, how it works.
Well, that's that's what I thought every Avengers movie was for, right? Because you get these small little movies and then spikes when they come back together again, right? And that's what everybody wants to see. They want to see their heroes together again. Notice how in each Avengers movie you got more characters, right?
Yeah.
So they sprinkle a little bit, and then do a few solo movies, sprinkle a little bit more, do more solo movies. Now you got this massive thing, man.
Yeah.
The thing is, you got to build from the ground up, man.
Oh, for sure.
You got to. And I just love how Marvel has done it. And I honestly can't believe... I say it all the time. I'm almost tired of saying this. I cannot believe that they have strung together 22 movies. Now I'm wondering, like, what is a trilogy? You know what I mean? What the hell is a trilogy? Everybody wants a cinematic universe now. A trilogy's not enough.
Yeah.
We got how many... Iron Man 1, 2, and 3. Captain America 1, 2, and 3.
Thor 1, 2, and 3.
Thor 1, 2, and 3. And they have built a universe out of this. And I'm so grateful. And to end this off... I really do think the only thing they can do to top this, to top what we saw in Endgame, is finding a organic way to bring in the X-Men. And I'm not saying Fantastic Four because I think people aren't as hype to Fantastic Four, and it has to do with the Fox movies, right? Unfortunately. But I do think the X-Men are beloved. Yeah. And if they can find a way, they will. And when they find a way to bring in the X-Men, I think that is going to be the end game moment. when you see the hint of X-Men
Yeah.
or the hint of mutants, that is going to be... I think that's what... From Spider-Man Far From Home up until, I don't know, like the end of the next 5 years, at the end of that, I think that is when they're gonna hit at Endgame. Or at X-Men.
I think we're going to get it earlier.
I hope so, man.
Well, and the reason why is because obviously Feige recently kind of came out with the next slate of movies and kind of general timelines of when they're going to come out. So
I did see that.
So again, it was the second Doctor Strange, it was the second Black Panther, it was all those movies, the ones that we knew were coming.
Yeah.
But he also mentioned that there are 3 movies that are supposed to be coming out in 2022.
Oh, okay, cool.
And never told anybody what they were. Never said, listen, this is what they're going to be. So, I get the feeling that probably not all of them, probably one of them is going to be around the X-Men. And I don't know if it's too soon to bring in those characters or certain characters. I know that because we just got Logan, not last year, but the year before, right? 2017 was Logan?
I think so.
I don't know if you could bring Logan in right away because
No.
or Wolverine again, because again, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine to me. He did such a good job in that role, and he played it for 17 years.
Oh yeah,
right?
It's a long time.
So you can't just all of a sudden go, okay, yeah, we're bringing, and all of the ones that you love, like Wolverine, they're going to be back. No, you got to chill on that.
They're recasting everybody.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Now, I mean, listen, I don't know if you necessarily have to recast everybody. Could you just continue to use some of those actors that they've been using, like the James McAvoy as Charles Xavier?
I want them to, but I don't know, because of that.
Well, and I think it depends on what happens in Dark Phoenix too, right? Because
yeah.
I mean, she might go all Thanos on them and snap her
yeah,
fingers, and they all get dusted. So,
yeah, that's true.
And then she meets up with or brings back Thanos because she can affect reality and be like, "Hey,
we can't do another Thanos."
Thanos is back, guys.
This time, Thanos is killing everyone.
Yeah, Thanos is back, guys. Yeah,
there's no way Thanos messes up 3 times.
We didn't account for a Phoenix going off and and basically changing reality.
Yeah.
Oops.
Well, that is our spoiler-filled Avengers Endgame review with Jamal,
with Jordan,
and that's what we think, man.
Go and see the movie if you haven't already.
And if you have, go see it again.
Yeah.
And then come back and watch us again.
Exactly.
There's more movie reviews coming, guys. Bye.